It is officially the end, and the Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions. This season has been so much fun, and there's been so many new teams that we've seen in the playoffs that we haven't for a while. Even I didn't know who was going to win going into this game as I gave my prediction. I did have the Seahawks winning, but that prediction aged horribly. This game was pretty much over from the start as the Patriots could not get anything going, and by the time they did get something going, the game was basically over. Yes, the first touchdown was scored in the fourth quarter, but I still do think it will be fun to look at the best performance from each skills position in the Super Bowl. But before the video starts, I want you guys to comment who you think is going to win the Super Bowl next year. But we kind of already know who the best player of the Super Bowl was, as that was the Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. I mean, you could say Jason Myers too, but I'm going to switch it up in this video because I normally start with the quarterbacks, but we're first going to start with the Super Bowl MVP. And like I just said, that was Kenneth Walker. On 27 attempts, he had 135 rush yards, averaging 5 yards a carry. He didn't get a touchdown, but he still did have 2 catches for 26 yards as well. He finished with 161 total yards of the game, and basically set up Seattle to kick field goals and get a lead in this game. Without Walker in this game could have been worse than the 2019 Super Bowl Patriots versus Rams. He was the total life of the Seahawks and totally was deserving of the Super Bowl MVP. It's pretty cool to see how good Walker's been in this playoffs, and if you go watch my divisional and conference championship videos, you'll see that Walker's been consistently good. I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed in what they got out of Walker this year in fantasy. Everyone knows that he was in a split backfield with Charbonnet. Walker would get the majority of the rushing yards, but Charbonnet would be the one to get the touchdown, so it made them both really mid in fantasy. But that did not matter because real life is way more important than fantasy. And I think because of that split backfield, it helped Walker stay healthy. And a big trend of his career was to get injured, so he was able to be there for the big game in the moment they needed him. So it really all worked out with Kenneth Walker, and if you're still salty about fantasy, you need to know when to cut your losses. I myself was a person who believed in Kenneth Walker this year in fantasy, but I just had to accept myself to cut my losses as I wasn't going to get the value that I drafted him at. But I am very happy for K9 and the rest of the Seahawks team, as not a lot of people picked them as a Super Bowl favorite going into the year, and not a lot of people believed in this next guy, which leads us into the quarterbacks. And it's a man that's been on the Jets, Panthers, 49ers, Vikings, and now the Seahawks. And we all know who I'm talking about, and that's Sam Darnold. And I'm not afraid to admit it, but I'm one of the people who didn't really believe in him this year. It was from a fantasy standpoint that I didn't really want him, but never in a million years did I think he was going to win the Super Bowl the same year he joined the Seattle Seahawks. But let's first just take a look at his stats. Sam threw for 202 yards, had 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, and had a rating of 74.7. Something that he did exceptionally well in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs in general was not turning over the ball. In the regular season, he led the NFL in turnovers with 20, and in the playoffs, he completely flipped the script and made all the right decisions, having 0 turnovers this playoffs. This was best shown in his game versus the Rams. I think we all kind of knew that game was going to be better than the Super Bowl itself, but if he just would have had 1 turnover in that game, we could have seen a completely different outcome, as the Seahawks really squeaked out that win, only winning by 4 points. It is definitely crazy to think that Sam Darnold is the first QB out of the 2018 draft class to get a ring. That same draft class has Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, and also Josh Rosen. But honestly, good for Sam, he deserves it, and he showed the Vikings how dumb they were to pick JJ McCarthy over him. Also, props to the Seahawks because they signed him to a really friendly contract, and they just really made smart moves with their team, trading away DK, trading away Geno, trusting in Mike McDonald and letting go of Pete Carroll, and also trading up with the Titans to draft Nicky Manwari. And the list can go on of things that the Seahawks did right to win the Super Bowl. Sorry for the glaze, but Sam Darnold was definitely one of the things that they got right. And that moves us on to the wide receivers. And for the wide receivers, surprisingly the leading wide receiver of this game was on the Patriots, and this is one of the only good things I'll actually say about them. So let's just start with them, and the leading receiver is Mac Hollins. He had 4 catches for 78 yards, averaging 19.5 yards a catch, and a touchdown. His touchdown did give Patriots fans a little bit of hope. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering, but I mean, hey, I guess it was at least the first point scored for the Patriots. But that moves us on to the honorable mention, and you could say this guy was even better. And that man was the former Super Bowl MVP, Cooper Kupp. He had 6 catches for 61 yards, averaging 10 yards a catch. He didn't get a touchdown, but he came up big in really crucial moments. We all kind of expected this game to be a wide receiver battle between JSN and Stephon Diggs and who had the better game, but neither of those guys played great, so I guess we just have Mac Hollins and Cooper Kupp. But if there's one thing I'm catching on to, I want Cooper Kupp if my team's in the Super Bowl. He might be 32 years old, but he turns it up in the big game. And that moves us on to tight ends. And the best tight end was easily AJ Barner. He had 4 catches for 54 yards, averaging 13.5 yards a catch, and he finished with a touchdown. Granted, he was wide open on his touchdown as it was just busted coverage. This touchdown was just basically the dagger for the game, as there was no way the Patriots are going to come back as just bad as they were playing on offense. But that moves us into the final part of the video, which is the defense. I'm pretty sure you can already guess which defense was better out of these two teams, as it was the Seattle Seahawks, also known as the dark side. They forced 3 turnovers in this game and didn't allow any points to be scored on them till the 4th quarter. This game was truly won in the D-line versus the O-line battle, as they really just overloaded rookie Mason Graham as he could not contain any of the edge rushers. This caused just constant pressure on Drake May, so they weren't able to get anything going, and that's why I don't entirely blame this loss on Drake May. Obviously, he did have moments where he just missed his target, but I'm not sure what QB could have got something going in this situation. And they weren't only good in passing situations, they were also fantastic versus the run, and just completely stopped whatever the Patriots game plan was. But this defense is just reminiscent of the Legion of Boom defense, and with how young some of these players are, who really knows if we've seen this defense's full potential? I do want to give a shout out though to Christian Gonzalez, as he was just making some ridiculous plays on the defensive side for the Patriots. When JSN was in the game, he was clamping him up and also making some insane diving knockaways, and he showed us why he's one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. But his performance was all for naught, as we know the Seahawks ended up winning. But this season has been so much fun to make content on, and I appreciate everyone for watching the videos and supporting my pages. I have so much stuff planned for the future, and no, content is not stopping just because it's the off season. So if you guys want football content in the off season, make sure you subscribe. But that will do it for the video. If you guys have any questions, comments, or ideas, make sure to comment them down below. See you guys.